we saw, some of the feedback coming in from these anonymous QB coaches saying that Shedeur Sanders was arrogant and brash. Uh, Shador responded, how do you know? I mean, what do you make of this? Does it matter if he's arrogant and brash?
It matters. It matters. But it matters because you're talking about personality traits. You're talking about a guy who's going to lead a franchise. But it's not bad. It's not always bad. It's not. I'm sure there are people that think Joe Burrow comes off that way. There are probably people that have met Patrick Mahomes that maybe think he comes off that way. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say Lamar Jackson because he's a super humble, like down-to-earth guy. But there are quarterbacks in this league that come off that way. I mean, how have they talked about Aaron Rodgers for the past decade or two? Like, if he can play the game, it doesn't matter. But if you can't put your name behind it, shut up. Like, if you can't put your name behind talking about somebody else's name, then you probably shouldn't be saying what you're saying. Like, I can sit here and put my name, face, and reputation on what I say because it is what it is. If you agree, you would agree. If you don't, you don't. I believe what I'm saying is true. And if I'm proven wrong, I can accept, hey, I was wrong about that, but I thought that at the time. And thank goodness somebody was able to show me better or show me wiser. But I don't appreciate guys trying to slander guys and trying to paint guys in a negative light to try to affect their livelihood. Like, I'm not about that. You coming off arrogant and brash, what does it benefit you to say that? And that would be my question. Like, what benefit do you receive by saying this? You feel like, oh man, yeah, let me get this out there for everybody so that, they can know this kid is who he truly is. Like, why aren't you telling me how any other quarterback interviewed? Why am I not hearing what Jaxson Dart's personality is? Why am I not hearing what Cam Ward's personality is in the room? Why are they so energized to talk negatively about Shador is my question. And not even talk anyway about the other guys. Like, I don't hear anybody. There's other top quarterbacks being picked in this draft, and I don't hear anybody talking about, oh man, this guy's this, or this guy coming off bland or not the smartest. Like, it seems like they want to tear down who they want to tear down. They want to build up who they want to build up. But if you're going to tear a kid down, stand on it. Like, hey, I'm the quarterback's coach for the LA Las Vegas Raiders, and I think Shedeur Sanders is a little arrogant. I think he's a little, but you can't because you know what you're saying is going to be controversial. It's going to be talked about everywhere. Not everybody's going to agree. Not everybody's going to disagree. And so when you do that and you don't put your name on it, you're like, hey, I'm out of it. I'm just throwing a spark into the fire. I'm just throwing nonsense out there. I don't want to be attached to it. I don't want you guys to come for me. Like, no, bro, no. If he's arrogant and brash, say it with all of your chest and put your name behind it, and then I could believe it. Then I'll trust it.
Well, let's talk about the NFL Combine a little bit more. This is the time of the season where everyone's together. There's a lot of smoke screens going on, and maybe that take is a smoke screen. Maybe someone wants Shedeur Sanders to fall to them. Who do you like most as a fit for Shedeur? Is it the Giants? Yeah, do you like the Raiders? Where do you see him having the most early success and being the best fit?
If I was him, I would want to go to the Jets. I want to go to the Jets. I think they have the weapons in place. They have a good running back in Breece Hall. They have Garrett Wilson. It looks like they're trying to get rid of Devontae. But I think they'll draft another receiver. But I think that's a place with a good running game. If you fix that offensive line some, they have talented pieces on the defense. It's not the craziest division in the world to come into and potentially upset some teams and find a way to sneak into the playoffs. I think the Jets would be a great fit for him to have early success. If he's not ready, you lean on that run game, Breece Hall and the rest of them, and you try to build him as he gets better, as he feels more comfortable out there. You give him a little bit more, but I think that would be the best fit for him.
At this combine, and Richard, you know it all too well, you guys are under the microscope. But if you're a GM or a scout, how much weight are you really putting on the combine, these measurables, how fast these guys are running, how much weight they're putting up on the bench press? Between the combine and pro days, we've seen a ton of people elevate their draft stock or lose their draft stock. But if you were a GM, how much emphasis truly would you be looking at these combine results?
I'd say if it's out of 100% and we're saying certain percentages tape, certain percentages is background information and personality and, any red flags on that side, um, I'd say combine's probably 15%. I'd give it no more than that because like how many guys have elevated their crazy stock at the combine? Like the fastest guys in the history of our game, there's not a lot of all pros between them. You know what I mean? On the all pro on the list of fastest guys in combine history, there's not a ton of all pros and pro bowlers between them. I think Chris Johnson got a couple. Xavier Worthy looks like a solid character. Tariq Woolen got a Pro Bowl in his rookie year, but it's very few times that you find these guys are gonna, like all the combine measurables and all the RAS scores are gonna lead to great football player. There are guys, if you go through some of the greatest players, if you went to the Hall of Fame list and then went to their RAS scores or their combine numbers, it's probably not going to be the most impressive numbers you'd have. They talk about the greatest receiver of all time and Jerry Rice running a 4.6. Like, you're not going to find him the crazy combine now. Now Randy Moss's numbers are a little freakish. I think T.O.'s numbers are pretty great. But everybody's numbers aren't going to measure that great. And so you have to look at the tape and see the football player and how they maneuver in situations, how they maneuver when things are going bad, when things are going good, how they practice. There's a lot more that goes into it. So this has got to be if I'm a head coach, this is a small part of it.
You look at some of the stories, right? I mean, let's rewind a couple drafts ago. The Trayvon Walker, Aiden Hutchinson draft. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, from a production standpoint at a U of M, was probably the best football player in that draft, but Trayvon Walker went first because of measurables. Aiden Hutchinson has shorter arms, and we've seen how that has played off. Aiden Hutchinson, barring that injury, was certainly the Defensive Player of the Year candidate last year, and we see it now again. I mean, I don't know the guy's game at all, but Shamar Stewart is elevated a ton. He's a riser. He had one of the best combines out of any defensive end edge rusher in this draft. But then you look at his production at Texas A&M, and you see 2 sacks a season. It makes you wonder how much these guys are thinking. Also, you see Will Campbell from LSU, the #1 offensive tackle candidate. They're saying his arms are in the 6th percentile of length, and now he's being encouraged to move to interior offensive line. Like, it's just wild. It's wild to me to think that an offensive lineman who's had so much success at LSU and has only done things the way he knows how to do it, the way his body allows to do it, is being told he can't play offensive tackle because of his arm length now. Any thought on that, Rich?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's almost like they're, when they say a long corner couldn't play in the league when I was coming up. Let him play it and see. You know what I mean? It's the reason he's had so much success, and I think they use these measurables and these boxes to put people where they're like, hey, majority of the guys who are this size and hand size and arm length and wingspan have had success, and the guys who haven't have these issues. But each human being is different, and that's how you got to treat it. You got to treat everybody different. Now you can use comps and all that, but like, I hate the combine for a number of reasons, and I would never do it again. But I hate it more because they try to BS on my stuff all the time. Like, I ran a 4.51 and a 4.54, and now you look on the website and they put 4.6. I'm like, when did I ever run a 4.6? God, like literally in every bit of my combine, I ran 4.51 and 4.54. Now to tell the story, I guess they're like, Richard Sherman ran a 4.6. I said, dang, like. I mean, I'm okay. I was 4.51 and 4.54 if you want to give me my slow time, but you don't got to make stuff up. I think the combine is a sham, and it's just something to fill the offseason.